Welcome to the channel. Today we are continuing the decorating series of our Christmas Icon project pack, which you can purchase the entire pack that comes with 5 different Christmas icons that you can decorate, you can paint. If you're interested in purchasing the pack, you can go to trail47.com/pop-up. In today's video, we are going to be painting the snowman shape. But first I wanted to go over with you the when painting MDF there's always an issue of the edge grain soaking in a lot of the paint or whatever you're trying to use on the MDF, and it causes not an even look as you would on the face of it, which the face is very smooth and takes paint very well, and that's what makes MDF a great medium to paint. So before we get started on painting the snowman, we're going to do a little bit of an experiment on the edge of the MDF. We've got shellac, we've got a sanding sealer, we've got Kilt's primer, oil-based, and we're going to make a wood glue solution, and we've got the control. Each of these products we're going to try on the edge of our test sample, and then we are going to paint all of them to see which surface looks the best. So before we begin painting, I'm just going to lightly sand with 220 grit sandpaper just to get some of the nibs off the surface there, just to kind of make it smooth. There you go. Now I did notice I put 3 coats of shellac and 3 coats of sanding sealer. I did 2 coats of the Kilt's oil primer and only 1 coat of the wood glue. So I don't know. The wood glue seems a little bit rough and it might have needed 2 coats, but it takes such a longer time for the wood glue to dry that if you had to put multiple coats, it wouldn't be efficient unless you had lots of time to put multiple coats. Whereas the shellac, you can put 1 coat on and then come right back behind it and then add another coat. Alright, now that everything's smooth, we're going to spray everything. We'll start with the shellac and work our way down. I'm also going to paint the surface of this MDF to show what it looks like compared to the edge. We lightly went over all the edges, but they're going to look like they're going to need another coat, so we're going to do that right now. So it's been an hour, and we've let our sealers dry. Well, here's what MDF looks like on the flat side, the smooth surface. Let's darken it up just a little bit so you can see. So we'll go to shellac first, and I'm very disappointed. I like shellac as a sealing product for doing furniture and all that, but it looks like the paint didn't stick. It must have soaked all the way through because there's no paint left except on the edges there. The sanding sealer did a little bit better, but it's still a little rough right here. I don't think it got soaked in as enough. And then here we are, the Kilts. Now the Kilts did pretty good. It is a little rough, so maybe we could have put a little bit more primer on there. And the wood glue, surprisingly, looks just as good as the Kilt's primer. Probably could have used a little bit more. It's a little bit rough, so that could have been sanding. Put a little bit more wood glue and sand in it. Then here's the control. You see, that was solid white when we first sprayed it. But as time went by, it just soaked it all in. So that's the reason why you need to seal it, because it just soaks so much paint. And you don't want to flood it with a lot of paint because then it starts going over to the flat edge here and it starts messing up the texture of the paint on the top. So that's why we're wanting to seal it if you want to get a really good overall finished look to any MDF product. So that's the whole purpose of doing this. Now if you're just doing this for fun and wanting to just paint, I wouldn't even go to this step. I just paint everything and move on. But for this, I wanted to show some people who really want to get a nice finish on an MDF item, then this is what you're going to need to do to seal the end. Now the flat surfaces, there's not really a big issue. It takes paint really well and it looks good and smooth and all that. It's just the ends. If you want both sides, the flat side and the edge, to match, you're going to have to do some type of sealing on it. So to get started working on painting our MDF snowman, we are going to attach it to our paint stand, which we made in our previous video when we painted the reindeer. If you want to learn more about it, you can check out that video. But quickly, we put blue tape on the back of our snowman, and we are going to add hot glue to our stand right here. And I'm just using my butane lighter and heating up some hot melt glue. Rather than waiting for a hot glue gun to heat up, this is a quick way just to add hot glue to any project. And we're just going to stick our snowman right there. Just hold it for a second, let it cool down, and there you go. So I think the Kilt's oil primer worked the best on the edge for what we needed to do. So we're going to do that to this edge of the snowman before we paint it. So it's been about an hour since we put 2 coats on here. Between each coat I sanded just to get the little nibs and the hairs off of there, and then after I came back I sanded a little bit more. What I like to do is I like to spray the sides first. That way if there's any overspray on the front, when you spray the front it kind of blends in. So it's always good to do light coats and then come back and then put a second coat on here. Now this Rust-Oleum says come back within an hour or after 3 days. The Ace Hardware paint that I like says you've got before 4 hours and after 2 days, so it's a little bit better. It says it's dry to the touch in 25 minutes, so we'll just let that dry and then we'll come back and give it another coat. But you can see, I can still kind of see the MDF through the paint, which is fine because I just want to get a nice light coats. That's how you get a good final finish, is putting light coats on rather than a bunch of heavy coats. It's been about 30 minutes and it is still a little sticky, but it's dry enough to put another coat. So we'll go around the edges again and then we'll do the face. It's been 30 minutes and we're getting a good top coat. Top coat's pretty smooth. It's a little bit sticky, but what I wanted to do on the edge here, it's dry enough. There's some areas here that is a little bit rough, and I think we just do a little bit of sanding there to get those out, and then we'll put a third and final coat on there and we will be very good to go. It is the next day and everything is dry and looks really good. So now we are going to, I'll start from the top and work our way down when we're painting. We're going to do the decorating part of it. So we're going to paint the hat black, and then to cover everything else so it doesn't get paint on it, we'll put our paper here. So this is that painter's tape, the green version, which is supposed to be the edge lock and it's supposed to create a nice line. We'll see how that works. To get around to the other side, we're going to, I put some more tape right here to wrap to protect the other areas, and then we can spray it. Okay, I think it's had a little bit of time to dry. Let's go ahead and take the mask off. Let's see how it did. Be careful not to touch anything, because it's still sticky and it'll leave fingerprints. So before we get painting the facial decorations or facial features, I wanted to make a scarf, and I've got some material. These are just, I think they're furniture samples that I got, and I found a red in here that I think would look good and make a nice scarf to go around them. So before I started painting, I wanted to measure to see how much material we're going to need. Probably the whole strip. So I'm going to cut a strip out. So I got my favorite scissors. I call these my teacher scissors because when I was in elementary school, the teacher was the only one who allowed to use this type of scissors. Everyone else had to use their safety scissors, but I was always enamored by it. I liked how cool it looked. And these are sharp. Now I understand why teachers didn't want you to touch them because they are sharp. So let's just cut it. I'm going to cut it a little bigger than what we think we're going to need, and then we'll cut it to size. Oh, there you go. We got our strip of cloth. It is a little long. It doesn't have to be perfect on the ends, but I do want to make it smaller to be more proportionate to what the snowman would be wearing. Just trim this up. There you go. So for the nose, we're going to draw a carrot, and I don't have orange, so we are going to try to mix red and yellow together. And King's Gold is the only thing I have for yellow, so we'll see how that works. We'll see what we can do about mixing some orange together here. So after playing with the mix for a little bit of the red and the King's Gold, we did get, I think, a pretty good orange. It's not the best, but it will work for what we need to do. So now let's draw our nose here. I think that orange turned out pretty good. Good carrot orange. Alright, perfect. I'll put that to the side there and we'll let that dry. While we're letting it dry, pull out our paint pen. This is the one we used last time in our last video with the reindeer. It worked out pretty well, so we're testing out this is a new paint stick I've never used before, and it actually turned out really well, and I liked it. So we're going to use this for some of the smaller detail. It's got a chiseled tip and a point also, so you can do long strokes or little strokes. So we'll be using the tip today. That will be the kohl for the eyes and the mouth. And then we'll do some bigger pieces of kohl for buttons for his shirt right here. And we have his scarf that we will add. Like so. Just don't let it get in the paint. And for a little detail, I added a little bit of shading at the bottom of the snowballs for the snowman to give it some depth. So if you like this Rudolph cutout and like to do one for yourself, go to our website at our sister channel at trail47.com/pop-up, and you can purchase your Christmas icon pack, and it has 5 different designs that you can decorate and create your own masterpiece. Stay tuned, and we'll be having future videos on painting the other shapes. Remember the ABCs of making. Always be creating. Till next time.